This week at the Internet Cafe, chat rooms. This is the new InfoSeek chat room, WBS. It's got color, it's got graphics, it's got interesting chat. If you find chat a little intimidating, Jenna Woodall says, come in and play a game first to Talk City, and you'll just naturally start chatting with the people you meet. Tribal Voice is a chat room plus. You can create your own chat rooms, use a whiteboard, and even use your voice. If you're more comfortable talking to computers than people, there's even a chat room for you. Barbara Hayes-Roth will show us Extempo.com, where you can chat with a robot. And if you like mixing with the big shots, we'll show you the inside secrets of how celebrity chats work. Plus, writer Larry Maggot says too much chat may not be good for your health. Chat rooms this week at the Internet Cafe. NetCafe is made possible by RonDiamond.com, the oldies site on the Internet. Music and memories from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, not just another jukebox. Additional support comes from the law offices of Ivan Hoffman, Lawyering with Integrity, for Internet law, copyright, trademark, and other intellectual property law. And by TechWeb, for up-to-the-minute technology news. I saw an amazing number that something like 80% of the people who go online actually go into chat rooms and do chat, which surprises me because I don't find it that valuable. I don't spend a lot of time doing it.
My father-in-law loves it. There's so many people I know that do it. I have tried and tried. It just doesn't
work for you. I mean, it's not a matter of principle that you think it's bad.
No, it just hasn't done it for me.
Why is it so popular?
Well, I know the guys who founded Bianca Smut Shack. Have you guys heard of that?
Yeah, we had it on the show some time ago.
All right, so it's a pretty popular, one of the most popular adult chat sites.
And pretty darn good, actually.
Thousands of people a night are on there chatting away for 5-6 hours at a time. So people are pretty into it. It's alive and well on the web.
All right, well, we're going to meet a bunch of guys who run, and women who run some interesting chat sites. We'll find out what all the fuss is about. All right, Joe, you've got a very interesting, I'm calling it a chat site, but it's really more than a chat site, tribalvoice.com. Tell us what the idea is behind that. I mean, how it really is more than just chat.
Well, we're really not a website. We're an internet communications company. Our product is called Powwow.
Okay.
What we do is we publish a product that essentially is a platform for creating online communities. Chat is simply one of the features that these communities happen to engage in.
Okay, now what's the relationship then between Powwow and tribalvoice.com?
Tribal Voice is the company, Powwow is the product.
Okay, now explain what the product is. What do I can download Powwow for free.
Download Powwow,
what do I do with it?
It's a free download. It's an integrated suite of communications capabilities. It allows you to do point-to-point communications, point-to-multipoint communications, internet telephony, whiteboarding, instant messaging, and just about anything you can think of on the internet.
All right, now, there are a lot of complicated terms. Just walk us through that. If I go onto that website, I download Powwow, what can I do that's different than normal chat? I mean, I can chat with a bunch of people like I might in a normal chat room, right?
Well, for one, certainly you can do that. You can join any of the chat rooms that are out there. There are 3,000 to 5,000 communities running at any given time. You can do that. You can organize buddy lists and engage instant messaging if you'd like to do that.
I can create my own community inside with Powwow, can't I?
You can create your own community. It's yours alone. There's no advertising being sold around it. There's no e-commerce. It's your own environment. It's a little bit like the old bulletin board world of yesteryear. In effect, Powwow is the new version of the bulletin board. It allows individuals to establish their own communities.
Now, when you're talking about point-to-point and internet telephony, you're really allowing sort of like a multi-person conference call on the web, right?
Yes. Not on the web, on the internet.
All right, on the internet.
And there's a very important distinction because this is so much faster than the web. If you actually drill into the internet, you get a much faster response time.
Right.
Yes, you are able to engage in relationships online with individuals, with groups, multiple groups of people. You can send multimedia images and so forth.
Now, what I've noticed on your site, you know, a lot of chats are kind of trivial conversations. There's not a lot of real substance there. But the ability to get people who are really interested together in their own little community, the conversation inside the chat room, if you will, seems to be more substantive. Is that the point?
There's a lot to be said about that. But first of all, let's bear in mind that we're all heirs of Marshall McLuhan, and we know the name is the message. There's a lot of reasons we use communication for that have nothing to do with substance.
Yeah.
We chit-chat with our loved ones, with our friends, and we can't really say what the content of that is. That doesn't make it any less valuable. Banter has real value. You know, maybe that you might have chat rooms or instant messaging or any other kind of communication mode that is not necessarily involved with substance. On the other hand, it could be involved with particle physics.
Sure.
You could be talking about Bill Clinton's foreign policy. You choose the topic.
All right. Now, you also have the ability to actually use your voice in chat, not just typing text, right?
Yes. there are a number of forms of it. One, there's a text-to-speech engine. If you type on one end, out the other side, you then will have a synthesized speech. Or you also have an internet telephony function. And it's very attractive. You could be sitting in Chicago or Singapore and talk to somebody for free for the cost of internet access any place on the planet, provided that other individuals running Powwow.
All right, so all I need is Powwow, and I can do this internet telephony stuff.
Powwow and an internet connection.
Right. All right, now, so you can have text-to-speech, or you can have your actual voice, correct?
Yes.
And does that change the nature of the conversation? I mean, we're used to, you know, online chat being typing, and there's a certain anonymity to that. Do you notice dynamics changing?
I think it does. I think it does when I've used it myself, because suddenly I'm hearing somebody's voice on the other side of this computer, and this is somebody I might have been having a text chat conversation with for months and months, and suddenly there is her voice.
Yeah.
It's quite a shocking thing. It's an intimate experience.
It's a new level. All right, so the product is Powwow. It's a free download, and you can go to tribalvoice.com.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Joe.
Now, Barbara, one of the things about websites and chat rooms is I feel kind of isolated sometimes. I get into this chat room and there's a lot of typing going on and conversations that I don't understand anything about. And the one thing about your Extempo characters is that I was welcomed, and there was this little person starting to chat with me, and I started getting engaged. What's going on here? What are these little guys about?
Erin, the bartender.
I was talking about Erin. Yeah, she got me a beer.
Well, that's part of her job. She's a bartender. She's in a virtual bar. And like any bartender, part of her job is to make people feel welcome, to welcome them into the bar, ask them how they're feeling. Sometimes if you've been there before, of course, she'll recognize you and say hello to you. She'll offer you a drink and help you get comfortable in the environment. Then when you're ready, you can talk to the other patrons.
But the important thing is that Erin is in reality not real. I mean, she's a
real character.
But she's not a real person who's at the end of another keyboard.
No,
she's a character that you've designed. And you've also got a number of other characters, like Max, who I met at your website, and I know you've got a few others that are at the site as well. What are you doing here? I mean, we've got this technology that's basically acting like a human being and asking me questions.
That's right. We're using technology really to humanize the web. Most people now, when they go to a website, they're there by themselves. They may be looking for something or trying to do something, but it's very cold and unnatural and lonely. By contrast, when you go around in the world and try to do similar transactions, there are people there to help you, and they add a lot to the experience, not just function, but also their warmth and humanity. We're trying to do the same thing on the web with characters.
So give me some examples of how that would warm my experience, other than Erin with the bartender scenario.
For example, we have another character, Jennifer James, whose job is to show you cars in an online showroom. And she can show you the cars and tell you all about them. After all, she's a former NASCAR driver herself. But in addition, she's a person and she has a life. And if you want to chat a little bit, she's happy to chat with you and tell you a little bit about herself. And in the course of the conversation, she'll also try to learn a little bit about you. That helps her do her job better, but it also makes a warmer and more human experience for you.
So when she's learning things about me, is that changing the kind of things that she tells me?
Absolutely. If she knows that you have children, she'll try to take that into account when she shows you a car and tell you how it will be good for someone who has children. Or if you're married or you like to take certain kinds of vacations, she'll try to incorporate that into her presentation to personalize it.
Okay, so if I had to draw an analogy to another experience I'd have on the website, I go to websites and I get these profiling forms, and they ask me questions. Am I married? Do I have any kids? What do I like to do?
Do you
those
like
sorts of things. Well, those things drive me crazy because it takes me time and it's about privacy and stuff. So now, or what you're saying is that this character now replaces that feature, and it allows the company to get information, but in a less intrusive way.
Yes, and in a more natural way, in a social way, the way that people would be comfortable exchanging that sort of information in the real world. I think privacy is still an issue. It will be in all of those situations. And it's important whenever a character or any other mechanism is used to get information from customers that it be protected. One thing that a character can do is give you a kind of believable assurance of that in the interaction.
Now, one last question on these characters. Do I need to download, or are there special tools that I need to do that?
Yeah. For some of the characters, you need to download the animation.
Okay.
Other characters will come in just on a Java applet, but all the information about that is available on our website, and it's very easy.
So, Michael, you're our celebrity chat guru, and we're talking about all different kinds of chat. I think celebrity chat is one of the most popular on the web, certainly was a big draw in the beginning of the web. How does it actually work? I envision stars actually sitting there and typing. Is that true?
Well, that happens some of the time. Okay. A good portion of the time, however, and I don't mean to debunk the myth, but a lot of the stars that we have in for our chats are actually at their homes on the phone. Oh. They might have just wrapped a scene on set, and somebody hands them a cell phone. Or they might be on an airplane on the way to their next location.
Okay, so actually it may be a little bit more exciting than sitting at the computer, because you're really catching the stars as they're going about their daily lives and living out sort of their entertainment lifestyles.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, as far as actually having someone type the stuff in, you've got someone sitting there in your studios who does that. Are people sending questions in real time?
We're getting questions in every second during the chat. One of the great things about these events are that you can actually participate. And since we're doing our chats for about an hour, there's a good chance that your question will get in there.
Okay, I read through some of the PAC archives, I guess, of some of the chats that were going on recently, and it seems like people want to ask the real personal questions that they maybe don't hear during the regular media interviews. Are you finding that people want to ask those kind of questions, and what are some of those?
Well, what people really want to do is they want to get up close and personal to the celebrity. And actually, I find that the celebrities, when they're doing these chats, because they're doing them from home or doing them just as they finish the scene, as I said, are actually caught off guard, and they actually are willing to answer a lot of those questions.
So it's a little more candid than...
It's a little bit more an intimate of an environment, I think. Okay. It's not that they're at a press conference, they're not doing anything like that. They're relaxed, they're comfortable, and they're just taking those questions because they know they're coming from people who've come there to see them.
Right. Now, who are some of the most popular celebrities right now doing chats? Or?
Well, let's see. We do so many, but off the top of my head, I'd say Jewel, Tori Amos. Oh, I've had tons and tons of guests. Those two are some of the biggest, I think, because of the fact that we've had all the great questions asked. We've had tons of people, show up for those chats, and Jewel in particular was promoting a new book of poetry.
Oh, right. I saw that in the store.
Which was a totally different event than we normally do, because she's promoting a product that she's not known for.
So people could ask questions about this poetry and what things meant.
And they got to ask very revealing questions, and it made for a terrific event.
Right. Now, I was on the site last night, and I did read a back archive of a David Duchovny interview, and X-Files has been incredibly popular on the web. Did you find that was also a big draw?
X-Files is always a big draw no matter what. But I find that every one of our events are popular. There's always some audience that's willing to show up and be there to see their favorite star answer their questions.
Right. Now, this was something in the beginning of the web that was very popular. It was kind of unique. Now, I think it's still unique, but some people say maybe it's getting a little passé. What's next? I mean, is this still building? Is this still popular? Is there something else coming out soon?
Online chats with celebrities are in their infancy. For example, I can book events 2 months ahead now. Why? Because every single publicist knows that this has to be part of the Hollywood press junket.
Really?
Online is something they know they have to do now. It's not as much that it's a passing fling, it's the latest new thing to do. It's here to stay, and it's not going anywhere.
So do you have any big ones coming up here in the next month or so?
Let's see. Well, we're in fall preview season, so there are over 60 chats coming up in the next 2 months. We've got... top of my head, too many people. All I can say is just come check out the site, and you're not going to be let down.
All right, Larry Maggid's with us again at Cybersmith, larrysworld.com, one of your websites, one of the many things you do. We're talking about chat tonight, and I wanted to get your opinion on, there was a story recently that people who spend a lot of time online, a lot of time in chat rooms, are doing something kind of socially unhealthy. There was a high correlation between depression and being online. Do you think there's any danger in spending a lot of time online chatting?
I'll tell you, if it was that dangerous, I'd probably be mental in an institution by now. I think that if you use it as a substitute for the real world, if all of your friends are online, all virtual friends, and you don't have any real friends, I think you're going to lose something. I know I do, that I have to go out to coffee and to interact with real people. And in that sense, it could be damaging.
All right, now your son's, obviously, we've had him on the show. He's very techy. He spends a lot of time online. Would that concern you, that he's getting too involved in the screen and not enough on people?
If it weren't for the fact he had friends, that he went out and played baseball, and he's on the soccer, play soccer, I'd be very disturbed about that. And I think there's a tendency for people to get obsessed with the internet and really get into it, get drawn into it. And I think it can become unhealthy and dangerous. It's like anything else. You've got to have some balance in your life.
Now, some people argue, well, having a kid or somebody sitting at the internet for a couple hours is better than just staring at the television set for a couple hours. Again, this story I saw seemed to suggest the otherwise, that it almost grabs you in too much.
Well, it can grab you in, but it depends what you do. I mean, again, it's just a screen. It depends what you do. If you're out there really pursuing a hobby, and if it's an interesting hobby, then you're going to get a lot out of it. If you're just sort of, sitting there in a chat room and just sort of chatting for no particular reason, you're going to get sucked in, and it's going to be kind of
better not
silly.
Be the core of your life, huh?
I don't think so.
All right, thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
All right, Michael, you guys have a very interesting chat site, WBS, which is what, Web Chat Broadcasting System, part of InfoSeek. And it really looks different when you first go there. I mean, was that the idea, to do something a little bit different from what the other guys are doing, I assume?
The idea was to make it look different than your standard search and directory trafficked site.
Right.
It was something that can really engage the users, where they're talking with each other, forming communities together with a little bit of help from us.
All right, let's talk about this forming community. That's the buzzword right now. Nobody wants to just chat or have a portal. What is the idea of being able of allowing people to form communities online? How does that work, and what kinds of communities?
Right. Well, traditionally what you'd have is chat rooms that the user couldn't control, and now what we're moving into, and what we think will be really hot this fall, is the notion of an instant community, where a user can come online and create their own community with a number of different tools. These communities can be public. They can be private, so I can invite just you and, say, 3 of our friends into this community.
Is this like buddies, if you will? I mean, that idea, or the instant messaging?
It's taking the notion of a buddy list, instant messaging, chat rooms, discussion groups, combining them together in a whole community environment that's very engaging.
Now, what's really cool on WBS right now is the use of graphics. I mean, number one, you've got colors, you've got unique fonts people are using, and they can just post pictures up there.
WBS has really been, and now together with InfoSeek, very leading edge in terms of combining web pages with chat rooms, together with a directory of how to get to these places and find them. And we'll be continuing that by adding more tools in the areas of calendaring, in the areas of message boards linked to chat rooms in these private and public communities, or what we call clubs.
Yeah. All right, so people can create a home page inside InfoSeek there now, right?
Right. And
then people can go to click and find out the background or what people are interested in. I would think the ability to post pictures, though, in a chat room kind of real time is a little dangerous, isn't it?
It does create some interesting challenges for us, especially in the public chat rooms, where you want to make sure the adult content is focused in the right area. But I think it also puts a certain emphasis on adults to make sure that they know where their kids are. When you're in a public chat room, you're in a public place, and you need to do the same kinds of things you would do when you're in a public place, say in the mall, and you're out shopping with your parents. You don't walk up to a stranger and give them your phone number, right? You need to consider the same thing when you're in a public chat room.
So are these things moderated or monitored in a way by you?
They are. We actually have customer service people that take a look, especially at the images that are copied up to chat rooms and the conversations that are going on in public chat rooms. In the private ones, we leave them alone, but in the public ones, we do monitor the content.
You know what the demographics are? I mean, who are the people who are using the chat? I mean, it's such an interesting sociological phenomenon on the net.
Well, traditionally, the understanding has been that it's mostly teenagers chatting away in these rooms, but now with the ability to link home pages to chat rooms, to have instant communities, to have more meaningful discussions on message boards about stocks and finance, you're really finding the demographic maps the demographic of the net.
But most of it still seems pretty social, right? You go on your site, it's the hot tub and it's the sort of socializing stuff. It seems to have all the action.
It does, and that's changing somewhat as we add more of these instant community message board type features, but I think there still needs to be this real social phenomenon to it. That's what makes it fun and engaging.
But you have other things, right? I mean, you let people post newsletters up there, which is kind of unique.
Right.
Now, Net Circles, what is that?
Net Circles is the concept that you can expand the community by having what we actually call community news. And this is one of the things we're bringing up in our instant community offering right now, whereby, let's say you didn't get a chance to come to the chat room or the message board today, you can elect to receive an email that gives you an update on who was there, what they were talking about.
So InfoSeek, not a search engine anymore.
That's right.
All right, thanks, Michael.
So, Jenna, when I think about community and chat rooms, I don't often think about games. But here I go to Talk City, and I find this area called Games Galore. So, now, what kind of games can I play here, and how does this fit in with this whole idea of chat?
games actually are really popular on Talk City, and people go there for a lot of different reasons. They seem to attract people who like to, they like to play with words. We do a lot of word games, we do trivia games, we do games that allow you to make sentences from a string. We have a game called Silly Sentences where you get a string of letters and then you have to make a sentence using one of the letters as the first. People have a wonderful time with that, and then they vote on each other's questions, on each other's entries. But the main thing is that these people come here to get recognized for their cleverness, because a lot of them are quite the punster or the creator of the double entendre, right. And so they come for that recognition, they come for connection, and they come because it's socially a very pleasant place to be. And so we find that they're very popular in Talk City and that they really help us to build community.
So now, for somebody who's not a heavy web user, do you think that these kind of games are a good introduction into this world of chat? Or is it, for the people who are really good at these games, it's very fast? Or
it kind of depends on what you need at the beginning. If you're kind of a slow typist and you're kind of shy about chat, it might be overwhelming because these games move very fast and they're rather competitive. They're very social and people have a lot of comments flying back and forth. It's a great deal of fun, but it might be overwhelming to a very new newbie. But luckily, the games themselves and the community that they help to create kind of spawn other areas that are slower, and you can always watch, without playing. So you can observe these things and then kind of meet with the gang afterwards, which is another common after.
So at Talk City, you've got this area, games galore, so you've got all these different games, and I noticed that you also had these interesting bots, so they were self-running games as well. Yes. Now, if you go into the other areas, and there's so many different sections at Talk City, different communities, different groups, different topics, you name it, are there games going on in there, or do you kind of keep all the games in one area, or how does that work?
Because we find games are so important in building community, we actually use them all over. The people in music do trivia games. We have at 8 o'clock on Saturday nights, we have the news quiz, and some people just drop everything to make the news quiz because that really takes all the events from the week, some of them funny, some of them odd, some of them mainstream, and puts them together in a quiz and lets
kind
people.
Of bringing a personality.
All the news junkies get to come and sort of express their take on the news and their comments as well. Yep.
So here we got games, chat, in the combination, the two most popular things probably on the internet and all at Talk City. Thanks so much, Kevin.
Well, anybody find some new chat sites that might be more interesting than we thought at the beginning? Well, you dealt with the celebrities. That was pretty cool.
It was cool. It was a little bit surprising at the same time. I sort of thought celebrity chat was kind of an early web thing. Maybe it had died down, and it's not. It's hugely popular, and they have thousands of people checking out these chat sites. I was disappointed because I figured the celebrities actually come in and type on the keyboard. Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't the case. A lot of times they phone it in and someone just sits there and types it. So it was a little disappointing. I don't know why, but that took a little of the realness.
Nothing's as it appears to be even on the web. And you, did you get turned around in any way?
I learned about some other features. Things like animated characters that kind of get people engaged. People who are more shy, get them into the whole process. The idea of mixing games with chat so that you've got some wordplay that goes on, you've got some personalities
something to do
developing.
in a more normal kind of social situation.
There's some more things that are bringing a little bit more robustness rather than that just sort of plain get into this stark room. And
well, I must say, I was surprised to find chat places in which there was more substantive content. My problem, as we talked about at the beginning, is sometimes the discussion is so sort of trivial. Nobody really ever completes a sentence. But in things like the tribalvoice.com, which is very clever, where you can form your own community, people really do have something to talk about, where you found some real substance going on. Or in the WBS on InfoSeek, again, where you can use graphics, you got home pages connected to your chat. I found people really saying something more interesting because they got together with common interests, more like a news group almost, but a sort of chatting news group. So maybe it's worth checking out again, huh? Anyhow, that's Chat Rooms. We'll see you here next time again at the Internet Cafe. Net Cafe is made possible by RonDiamond.com, the oldies site on the Internet. Music and memories from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, not just another jukebox. Additional support comes from the law offices of Ivan Hoffman, lawyering with integrity for Internet law, copyright, trademark, and other intellectual property law. And by TechWeb for up-to-the-minute technology news.
To purchase a videotape copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-310-7850. Please specify the show number and the topic.
Nice of you to stop by, sir. I am Jennifer James. Today Samsung's got a Hornet, Saratoga, and Trail Runner on display. Any of those you'd like to see in particular?